I'm on my way to Myvatn, the large lake, from Godfoss, the falls we were just at, and I thought I'd do this 360 because it reminds me very much of scenes you might see in Idaho, maybe Montana, probably parts of Wyoming. If it weren't for the different foliage, and sometimes a subtle difference in the configuration of the mountains, you wouldn't necessarily notice the difference. Looking kind of west, northwest. I'll telephoto into the highlands. You might get better views somewhere else. Off in the distance, you can see Myvatn Lake. I should spend, I think, a couple of days. And the midges that I inquired about by email, that question's answered even up here in the wind. They mobbed my car. We're at the south end of the lake area, off I think it's 488. I thought this was the trail, but apparently the Klasar Trail is really the Klasar Road. So I'm just going to cut right straight through here and assume that I can hit the road there. As usual, I missed where this trail began and made my own trail down a pathway there to the water and then along the shore and back up through some wet paddies back down to here. I don't see that this helps us at all because I can't see the name Klasar. Pretty little space that they've been able to carve out a trail in. Everything else around us is owned by farmers and other private landowners. Now this area would be fun to kayak in, as opposed to the fjords where many of the kayak tours were going. And it's just one huge kayak slog, a paddling slog, without much that's going to be different. And takes a long time to get around a fjord. That's the larger lake there. Interesting because it's actually a forest. Now, I was wrong earlier in implying that there shouldn't be very many trees here. Frequently you'll see what appear to be forest plots, and then you'll notice that they are, because the trees are in horizontal lines. I don't think this is done that way, and I don't know how or why it was done. An interesting mushroom. Almost looks like it has a mucus surface to it, but I'm not going to touch it right now. Again, this would be a great place for a nice kayak trip. Here's another section of imported forest. By that I don't mean these trees were, they're probably offshoots from earlier transplanted forests. It's hard to resist taking a panoramic shot when you have such magnificent views and such a lovely day as today. I don't recognize these trees, but they're pretty gnarly looking conifers. Whether that's because Iceland did it to them or that's the way they are wherever they came from, I don't know. A pretty place to walk, given the general absence of any kind of vegetation over knee height. All of these roads, or paths, what look like paths, are actually part of this local farmers' infrastructure. This set of trees looks like it was planted intentionally as a corridor, if you will. And there are a few that may be what might have been once on the left side, but these certainly appear to be something like that, and they're quite old, it looks like. This is an interesting plot. Again, notice over on this side, lined by those trees, but it's all a rectangle with very lovely new quality benches and a flagpole and what would pass for a raised podium area. But why? What was its purpose? What is its purpose today? Our trail goes straight through it. These tall plants seem everywhere here too. Notice made up of several groups of very tiny flowers. Maybe 30 of those groups. You see how tall it is. Another view of these pillars that we passed on our earlier hike. And here another little circular or oval area carved out with some pretty maintained flower beds. Certainly someone maintains this now, but who? The government? The farmer? But who originated it? Is it old? Was it the original farmer did this for his own pleasure? I'm sure this is a beech tree, but what pretty pastel colors it has.